Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Collins, and I'm a marketing specialist here at Action Associates. I'd like to thank you for joining us for our expert webinar on Deltek Vantagepoint and Phocas Software and how the integration of the two systems can revolutionize your data analytics and planning capabilities. Today's webinar is being recorded, and the link will be sent out following the session as a reference for you. Please feel free to share that with your colleagues who may be interested in learning more about Phocas as well. Everyone on today's session is muted, but if you have questions, we encourage you to enter them into the chat feature or the Q&A. I will be monitoring them throughout the presentation, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. We are joined today with 4 presenters. We have Laura McQuaig, an account executive at Phocas, and Aaron Dieter, a sales project manager at Phocas. We also have Melissa Pazinski, the practice manager of our AES division here at Action, and Jason Mesmore, an application consultant at Action. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy. So you can see our agenda. We keep it pretty slim. We want to make it simple, but the other side of it is we want to make it fun and engaging. So in a few of the slides, if you have your phones ready, you're going to be able to scan a QR code and help us answer some questions and get to know you better to make sure that we answer the questions that you are looking for. With that, let's talk about Action. So Action is a very large company. We've been doing all sorts of ERPs for many, many years. In here, you'll see also that we own 2 data centers. We even offer cloud offerings. We are a top 20 VAR in the North America workplace, and the 2023 awards came in as a top workplace. And you'll see the 2024 awards coming up with the same thing. Looking forward to getting those results. With Action being a large company, the next question then comes in, what makes us unique? And the biggest thing is that we are Deltek's oldest and largest partner. We know the system inside and out. Our consultants know the data inside and out. They also know the processes inside and out to be able to deliver best practices. We have a lean implementation process to help us be very specific in making sure that we have a process to follow to take us live through any of our implementations. With that, I am going to turn it over to Laura McQuaig and let her share with you about what Phocas is and who they are.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Melissa. And thanks everyone for being here today. So who is Phocas? Well, we are trusted by over 2,800 companies worldwide with more than 40,000 global users. We have 23 years of experience, and we've built a reputation for delivering reliable business intelligence and financial planning solutions, which is reflected in our 97% customer retention rate, which we're super proud of. Our team spans over 8 global locations, which includes our US headquarters in Costa Mesa, California, our corporate headquarters in Australia, and our development team in New Zealand, ensuring robust global support for all of our customers. We're proud to work with partners like Action Associates, providing Action customers with tools that integrate seamlessly with over 200 data sources, including Deltek Vision and Vantagepoint. Phocas was recently certified as a B Corp corporation, highlighting our commitment to social and environmental responsibilities alongside business success. Okay, so it's time for our first Mentimeter question. So if you guys can all see that QR code, if you scan that, it will log you directly into Mentimeter. So we would love to understand how many of you guys are using Deltek Vantagepoint versus how many of you guys are using Deltek Vision. All right. Okay, so. Okay, so we have responses, 14 responses right now.
That's awesome. It lets us see that.
Yeah, so do I. Oh, I think I just hid the responses. I apologize, guys. So it looks like we have, oh, I apologize. So it looks like the majority of you guys are using Vantagepoint, and we do have a few customers who are using Vision. Probably assuming that many of you guys that are using Vision are entertaining the idea at this point of moving forward with Vantagepoint. Okay. So Phocas makes people feel good about their data. I absolutely love this tagline. Vantagepoint and Vision, just like many other ERP solutions out there, they hold a tremendous wealth of data. Many details of data, which is fantastic, but it's also super frustrating. And as we've heard about Deltek reporting in the past, it's just clunky to get data out of the system. So Phocas takes that frustration away and simplifies the data management by making it accessible and actionable for everyone in your organization. Thus, our wonderful tagline here, which I really love, Phocas makes people feel good about that data instead of feeling frustrated. So Phocas at a very super high level, we have 3 core modules, which is the analytics, which is our business intelligence. We have our financial statements, and we also have budgeting and forecasting. I'm going to get into, over the next couple of minutes, we're going to take a look at each one of those in more detail, as well as go through each one of these in the demonstration itself. Okay, so time for our second Mentimeter question. What BI strategy are you all using today? Oh, do you guys need, here's the QR code again. Okay. All right. So a lot of you are managing the data manually using Excel or similar tools. Okay, or it looks kind of even using Vantagepoint dashboards and standard reports. So only one of you guys are using a third-party BI solution in your platform. I guess kind of the bigger question, what I probably should have asked here too, is how many of you are using the Vantagepoint standard dashboards and reports, and then of course, exporting those out into Excel to do additional further analysis. If you guys feel free to put that in the chat. Okay. But I'm going to guess that's what the manual data reporting from Excel or similar tools. Melissa, do you have any things to say here?
Oh, I'm not surprised. Excel's our friend. So Excel's our friend. Vantagepoint dashboards and reports. This dashboards are fantastic. We just find that there's always that one more piece of data we want, or one more analytic, metric that we're looking for. And Excel lets us, do anything we want, which is why we like Phocas.
Exactly. That's great. Oh, whoops, someone had a comment. We are using Vantagepoint custom reports.
Yep, Vantagepoint intelligence. Nice. Queries from MS Access. That's a smart one.
That is a smart one.
Let you do even more.
Okay, perfect.
Oh.
Well, thank you guys. This is great feedback. What is happening to Vantagepoint Intelligence? At this point, Vantagepoint Intelligence is being sunset, I believe, at the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you guys are using currently? I should have put that actually on the slide too, just to kind of get a quick idea of who's using the Vantagepoint Intelligence piece at this point. Okay, thanks, Larry. Well, you're in the right place. Just take a look at what could be replacing that. Okay. All right, thank you guys for your participation. So Phocas Analytics. at a very high level, Phocas Analytic enhances Deltek Vantagepoint and Vision by providing faster, easier access to all your data into one centralized platform. It integrates the transaction data seamlessly, as well as other data sources, offering a comprehensive view of your business performance. What I like to say here is that Phocas provides that 360 plus view of all of your project data together, in all your project and financial data together, in one view. We pull information from your accounts receivable, your contracts, labor, planning, and project financials. So we allow you to view that all in one area, including additional data sources if you choose. But what's really interesting here, and what I really like, and what a lot of folks really like, it really eliminates that difficulty in the cross-hub reporting or cross-info center reporting that Vantagepoint and Vision tend to have. So the dashboards are great, but you can only focus on one area of the solution, on one hub. So in order to get those additional information from the additional hubs, a lot of times you have to create different dashboards. Well, Phocas kind of eliminates that need. Not only do we allow the cross-hub reporting, but we also allow you to stream that data together. So in other words, I can actually report in one view on your project financials, the labor, contracts, and even your project planning data. So in one view, I have the ability to see what your contract value is, what your job to date actuals are, and what you have forecasted for your ETC all the way out to 12 plus months. So we're combining all that data together. And like I said, we stream those hubs together to allow you to really see and get the full visibility of your data. It's a self-serve. So we allow you to drill down from the highest project views into granular data like revenue, expenses, project, and phases. So what's really great here is a lot of times in Vantagepoint or Vision, we struggle with the fact of everything's kind of reported at a project by project basis, unless you are coding that intelligence into your project code. So with Phocas, we take that away. We take that having to code the intelligence from a project summary level into the detail level. So you can actually view all of your project data at what I like to call either a program level or portfolio view, and then you can drill down. In addition to that, you could even, instead of starting at a project level, I could see all of my phases across the organization. I could see my project data by tasks if I choose to. So we're hearing more and more customers out there that are getting away from project managers and managing their data more on a phase level basis. We also allow you to track and monitor your labor database using dashboards and reporting tools to display labor allocation across projects and phases. So we've had a request come in that we're listening to a lot of people that are, like I said, kind of going along that phase level and reporting at a phase level. So they wanted the ability to be able to track and plan for their equipment for phases that are coming up, not necessarily projects, but phases. So with Phocas, they have the ability to take a look at all their phases that are upcoming, what those times are, and then we can actually plan for our equipment and resources appropriately. And again, just like everyone else, just like Vantagepoint and Vision, it's very secure. We use user-based permissions to ensure that people only see and edit what they are permitted to do. So if you have that cost data hidden within Vantagepoint and Vision, the cost data will be hidden here as well. We allow individuals to take a look at their projects based on project managers and resources. If they're defined to a specific organization, we allow that as well here in Phocas. So Phocas AI, it turbocharges the way you do analytics. When you need an answer, we just ask. So it allows you to quickly type in a quick question and get instant answers about expenses, project financials, and revenues, such as show me my top performing clients, show me my top performing projects, show me the resources that have the lowest utilization rate, show me my top 10 resources with the highest utilization rate. Finance and project managers can tap into insights fast, even those with limited experience at every level of your business. Focus AI also, which I think is great, shows these steps that it took within the analytics to come up with your answer. So there's no guessing of, is this data correct? How did we come up with that? It shows you step by step how it analyzed the data and got to the answer. Okay, time for the next Mentometer. What FP&A strategy are you guys using today? A third-party FP&A tool, perfect. Again, if you can share in the comments what that tool is, I guess I need to add, get some more questions on here. 50%, 6%. Okay. This came in just like I thought, Melissa, probably the same that you thought.
Yep.
Currently, most people are probably taking the financial statements out of Vantagepoint and Vision and dumping them into, I should say, exporting them into Excel to obviously create the format and the roll-up that they need for financial statements, as well as the budgeting and forecasting. Power BI? Okay, great. Thanks, Denise. Okay, thank you guys. But I think the answers were pretty spot on. Profits? Oh, that's good. Okay, great. Thoughts here, Melissa? Probably the same.
Yeah, it's people are searching for an FP&A tool, and
Right.
so we're beginning to see people like, they're asking for what can we do and where can we find it, and so we're beginning to see more and more of those, develop on the marketplace. In fact, so
Absolutely. Well, great. Thank you guys for participating. Appreciate that. I'm learning and thinking of more questions for our next webinar, so appreciate that. So Focus financial statements. With the Focus financial statement module, we easily create and automate profit and loss, balance sheet, and cash flow statements in minutes. So I know that Deltek Vantagepoint and Vision, we do, offers specific financial reports, but many times it's difficult to do simple formatting in that, to get it into the format that is required for the executive team, for maybe even a parent company, or putting together what we call like a board pack, or even, having to create specific reports, financial statement reports that are applicable to share with banks if required. Some of the basic things I've heard is, hey, we want to get our financial statements, but I want to be able to see my profit and loss across all my projects, or across certain projects, or across my organization. And it's difficult to do that just inherently within the financial statement reports that are delivered with Deltek Vision and Vantagepoint. So Focus financial statement module allows you to easily report on those projects using specific metrics such as EBIT, margins, and ratios, the auto update. So when I talked to you about that specific report, when we were at ProjectCon, I had a customer come up and ask, hey, you know what? It was super easy for me to see, and I could create a P&L report by project in QuickBooks, but it's super difficult for me to do that in Vantagepoint. And we were easily able to show her how we could do that in literally a matter of 2 minutes. So the financial statements module quickly allows you to customize the format of your financial statements. You put in the time up front, just kind of mapping it through the account groupings within Vantagepoint. You create your statements, and you can use them time after time again. So you just kind of invest that time in the front end of things, and then you can continue to use that time and time again. And it also allows you to create accurate reports. So the data will automatically update and be pulled in directly from the GL transaction levels within Deltek, and any other sources that you want to combine into this as well. It's self-serve, so you can track your live actuals and drill down into the transactional data on a regular basis, and also allow you to reforecast regularly. And just like every other focus tool, and you'll see this when we get into the demonstration, we can visualize everything. So we have all kinds of charting and dashboards and graphing capabilities that allow you to quickly visualize your data. Focus budgeting and forecasting. So again, it's a self-serving planning tool that speeds up that whole budgeting process, enables you to get more detailed. So how many of you take weeks to get your budgets put together? You are creating one master Excel sheet and you're either distributing that out to various different departments, or you've got sub Excel reports that you are distributing and you have to consolidate and bring them back in. It takes weeks and there's a lot of manual entry. There's a chance for error. And Phocas's budgeting and forecasting module solves all of that. It's accurate. We use your live actuals pulled directly from the Deltek Vision and Vantagepoint GL transactions to accurately forecast your future balance sheet, position, and financial health. We consolidate, just like I said. So you can connect all your planning across projects in one place, your financial budgets, sales forecast, and labor planning. We can also collaborate. So no more of those multiple spreadsheets that you're sending out to the various different project managers and department heads. You can actually use the inherent workflow within the Phocas budgeting and forecasting to distribute out the various line items that you want those individuals to put their inputs in, and it will bring them back into the overall budget. Cash flow. So we allow you to stay on top of your cash position with three-way forecasting. So with Phocas budgeting and forecasting, I've heard many people say because it takes so long for them to actually create their budgets and create their forecast, that they only do that twice a year. Where with Phocas, they're now forecasting and reforecasting on a monthly or even quarterly basis. So it really speeds up that process. So at a high level, and taking a look at this, Deltek pulls Phocas will pull from your Deltek Vantagepoint or Vision all your transactional data, all your transactional details from the GL down to your labor, to your AR, to your project financials and to your project financials and also your planning. We even pull your employee data. We pretty much pull all your transactional data. And we, like I said, we will streamline that and combine those two to make sense, that makes logical sense. And with the use of analytics, financial statements, and budgeting and forecasting, all of the Phocas, with all the Phocas, modules, everyone in your organization will benefit, all the way from the C-level, all the way down to finance, sales, and operations. So we provide that holistic, unified view in one particular view. Not only, and I know we keep talking about this, not only are we pulling just from the Deltek Vision and Vantagepoint, we're also pulling from your other data sources. So we can combine all that data, such as your sales or CRM data, HR, payroll, or flat files. We can pull from all different data sources and pull that into Phocas and really give you that holistic source of one truth view of your business and your projects to really take a look at that data and do some analysis and plan properly. So with our Action partnership, we've created a really good solution for you. So we've taken all the great capabilities within the Phocas solution, and we've partnered that with the industry knowledge, industry and product knowledge of Deltek with Action, and created a holistic integrated solution that's easy to use and easy to use right out of the box. So at this point, I'm going to pass the baton over to Jason, and he will start the demo.
Thank you, Laura. Let me share my screen here. Alrighty, and here we are. First of all, thank you everyone for showing up. Appreciate you coming to hear about Phocas. I'm going to be going over the analytics portion of the Phocas software and what you can receive with the Action Analytics package here. So right away, we are on the Phocas Project Manager dashboard that we have rebuilt out. And let's say we want to see this with a little bit of a better view here. So we can minimize this menu on the side. And you'll see in the top left here, it says filter the dashboard, but there is no specific filter button. So you might be curious on what that may mean. We will get to that in a second. Scrolling down here, you can see you have all of your data imported. So you have AR, you have some KPIs over here on the left, graphs and charts on the right. If we keep scrolling down, we have some revenue data, and here is some labor data at the bottom. So if we scroll back up here to the top, these are grids similar to what you may see in Vantagepoint. Now, if we're comparing this to Vantagepoint Dashboards, similar, so in Vantagepoint, they call them dash parts. In Phocas, these are called widgets. Similar to dash parts, they can be edited, resized, however you want. And if we look over here on the right, we can see different, just different analytics here. So we have projects by charge type. Well, let's say we only want to see regular charge type, so a charge type of R. If I select this in the pie chart here, it's maybe hard to see on your screen, but the promotional and overhead get grayed out, so only the R is selected. And if we go to the top left, there's this focus button. And when I click that, the entire dashboard will reload, and it will only show data that is projects that are charge type of R. In the top left, we'll see here the current filters that are applied to the dashboard. So right now we only have one, but if I add more, you will see them up here. So now you can see the graph reflect just a charge type of R, which is regular charge types. Now, if we scroll down, we can see the different projects that are all charge type of R. These numbers reflect that charge type, but maybe we only want to see Brian as our project manager. So I can go ahead and click focus again after selecting Brian. The data will update, and now it's only showing one office here. We see he works out of the Portland office for his projects. Majority are active. Again, if we want to check what we are currently filtering on up here at the top, we have a charge type of R, and we can see that our current selection is just for this project manager. Scrolling down, the entire rest of the dashboard is reflected on what we have filtered here. So maybe I don't want to see these specific selections. Well, I can always reset, and the dashboard will automatically reload with just overall all of the data. So now let me make a couple more selections here. Maybe we only want to see data for a specific project. I can select that project and click focus. And now the dash parts, or widgets as they are called in Phocas, are reflective of just that project. We can see it's just active. You can see what office it belongs to. And again, we can hit reset, or maybe if we have multiple filters selected and we only want to take away one filter at a time, there's the option of just clicking X. So let's say we want to see construction documents and reimbursables. We could focus on that, and now we have those specific phases selected. Maybe we want to see those phases for all projects, so I take away that project filter. Another thing we can do here in the project manager dashboard, let's say we only want to see data for 2024 or any other specific time period. It's as simple as clicking this little clock button up here on the top right, and now it brings up a custom period functionality. I can scroll down here on my year drop down and select 2024. Maybe I want to do January to December of 2024. And now I can see the entire year of 2024. Again, whenever I make a custom filter selection for this dashboard, the filter is represented right up here. I know exactly what I'm looking at when I am looking at this dashboard. Now diving into this grid, now let's say we are looking at the projects grid here, and we want to just focus on project financial data here. Well, where is this data coming from? There's actually a button here that says Analyze, this little arrow in the top right. And if I click that, it will load the database, is what Phocas calls it, that we are pulling this project financial data from. Now, before I dive into this specific database, I want to talk a little bit about what you get with the Action Analytics, since we partner with Phocas. So Action actually has a pre-built solution for Deltek customers. We take your data and then we drop it into different sections, or as Phocas calls it, databases. So this is just collections of your data organized so you can easily access what you're looking for. So maybe you want to see labor data, or maybe you want to see project financials. It's all in their own buckets. Now here we are in the project financials database. So this is just data related to the financials of your projects. Again, if I want to minimize this little side panel, I can. And now we are looking at this view that may be confusing, but allow me to explain further how it all works. So on the left side here, you'll see a bunch of different selections here: project, principal, project manager, supervisor. These are called dimensions, and this is how the data is sorted. So maybe we want to see our data by project manager. We'll have that same project total revenue for projects, but now it is sorted by the project manager that is associated with those projects. And since this is a demo database with demo data, sometimes our projects are not related to any, or not associated with any project managers. So that will just show up under this triple hashtag. So let's, again, same functionality as the dashboards. Maybe we only want to look at one project manager. So we can click Focus after clicking on that project manager, and now we can either look at our projects. So we see it as one project. We're currently focusing on the current month, but maybe we want to see job to date if we're just looking at all of his projects job to date. We can even dive into specific phases to see the revenue associated with those phases. Same functionality again if we want to focus on only schematic design and construction documents. We can focus on that. And now our filters are represented here at the top. We're looking at the specific project manager with these phases. And we can even go back to the project, and these projects are sorted by this project manager in these phases. Now there's different ways to view the data in this grid. We could actually nest these views. So now if we want to look at the data by office, we drag that office level here, and we are currently selected under the project dimension, sorted in a nested view by the office. So now we have our 3 offices here, and maybe I want to look at the projects for New York. Now we can easily scroll under there, and we can add as many levels as we want here if maybe we want to see it by office, by project manager. So now when I look at the New York office, I can see, well, we have Francisco or Heather. And then if we go down another level, we can see the projects that are under Heather for the New York office. Laura touched a little bit on it in the presentation. There is an AI that Phocas rolled out, and it's a very interesting feature. You could say, show me the top 5 project managers by revenue for 2024. And it will think for a second. And the way it works, it will pull up the data that you asked for it. And it also gives you options to change whichever the modes that it changes. So here at the top, it set that, you can see it set that period to a custom period. So it's only looking at data from 2024. It pulled the top 5 project managers. And let's say maybe we didn't want the dimension to be project manager. We like this data, but we can just uncheck that, and now we can change it. So now we're looking at like top 5 projects by revenue. So you know, even if the AI doesn't get exactly what you're looking for, it's very easy to edit exactly what you may be looking for underneath. Alrighty. So yeah, that is the project financials database. Again, we have several other databases built out. So we have a labor database. Here you'll see your labor numbers. So we have a regular hours measure here. The period is set to job to date. That's why you see another column that shows the same amount. Maybe we wanted to clean up this view so we could just look at the totals. So totals, job to date for regular hours. If we look at our measures up here at the top, we have several other things to select from. Maybe we'll want to see the amount associated with those hours, and that will bring up the amount. Again, same drill down capability. If we wanted to see the project manager with their specific hours and amounts. Another cool thing about Phocas is if we are looking at numbers and we want to know where those numbers came from, there's actually a way to see exactly how we get to this 397 total. So if we click on it and right click and then go into transactions, it will show you all of the transactions from the GL that make up that total revenue number. Very powerful feature in Phocas. Moving on, we're currently building out a project planning database to see planning data. We have a contracts database, and we are building out several new dashboards, such as this planning dashboard with several new widgets with a phase review start date. And again, all these dashboards have the same capability as the project manager one I showed you earlier, where you can click on certain selections and filter the data however you would like. And with that, I believe I can pass the baton on to Aaron to present the financial statements and budgeting and forecast.
All right, thanks, Jason. Just select my screen really quick. All right, so you should now be able to see my screen here. So I just kind of want to touch on the AI piece that Jason talked about a little bit further. So with the Phocas AI, and I'm sure with your own work on day-to-day basis, you've maybe played around with like ChatGPT or some of the other language models out there, and really where BI and AI is headed is trying to use your company's data to ask questions, because ChatGPT, right, that's using a lot of open source data or just data that's suggested from tons of different users to come up with these different responses. And that's where Phocas is, you know, what if we just directed all of these requests to your data? We have your data, so let's ask questions of it. And so really any of the different metrics that you guys have, any of these dimensions on the side, and yeah, these calculated fields you'd be able to ask questions of. And so that's kind of where our AI is headed. And we have an entire team in New Zealand who is dedicated to building out this AI functionality even further. We know it's a big, of course, a big push for not just BI, but just all industries. So before I jump into the financial statements and budgeting and forecasting piece, I also just wanted to touch on, discuss a little bit further into this this planning piece that we can help with. Now, Action has put a ton of energy, and Melissa got to give her tons of credit for the work that she's put into this. And what you're seeing right here is a more complicated report that you can build in Phocas, but I just wanted to share, where you can get with the tool. So what you're looking at is a report that combines our contract data, our project financials, and our planning data all into one report. Now, we genuinely don't know any company or other, other software that has been able to build a report like this that combines the contracts, project financials, and planning, and built it in a way that can update on a daily basis. But we have. And so this is really, really cool to give you the entire kind of 360 view of some of these different projects. So you can see here right now, we're filtered just on all of our different projects. Now we have some different fields that are based off of our different contracts. If we move to the right, we have some others that are built off of our project financials. And then we have to the right here, some more planning and forecasted numbers that we've built out. And even to the right, we've broken those forecasts out by each month as well, moving forward too. So I just didn't want, this is just a very, very cool piece that we can help you guys out with. And we're talking to a lot of customers and working with some of our existing customers that are, this has been a big pain point and they haven't been able to build it out. And so just want to share that we have, and we can automate this to send out on a weekly, monthly, daily basis, and we can adjust it to your team's needs. All right, so moving on. I want to just jumping into our financial statements and budgeting and forecasting. So what you're looking at right here is what we refer to as a board pack. Now, this is kind of the end goal of using our financial statements and budgeting and forecasting modules. So we have some different metrics, like we have our company, our departments, but then we also have all of that, the financial information, of course. So we have our revenue, profit margin, operating costs, net profit margin. We can pull in a profit and loss here, our P&L here, so we can see our current, previous, and our budget. If we go a little bit further down, we can see other sales trends, EBITDA, COGS, operating costs, ratios, you name it. We can build these within Phocas using our financial statements tool, as well as our budgeting tool to build out one of these dashboards. And what this has really been helpful with is, those end of month close where maybe we just have one report, and this is going to update on a daily basis to have these information. And then we can update these different reports if it's for a specific branch, if it's for an executive team, you name it, we can build it out. And of course, we can always just restrict that data too. So we can build out one report, share it out with the masses, but then we can also have that data restricted at a user level. So they're only able to see the information based on maybe their office, their branch, you name it. So how do we build this though? So we built this within our financial statements module here. It looks a little bit similar to the databases that Jason was showing you, but just a little slightly different. So we used to actually just build out just GL databases, but then we had customers asking us saying that, we have all of our GL data within Phocas. It would actually be nice if we could actually build out our financial statements within Phocas itself. And so that's where we built this financial statements reporting layer over all of that data. So it has the similar functionality. You can drill down into the different account type, the office, the company, pull in whichever metrics you guys have for those, similar to what Jason was showing you. But we can also, of course, build out those different statements. So in the top left here, we have our statement dropdown. And we can see our profit and loss, our balance sheet, cash flow, trial balance, and then we can also customize these statements. Now, what you're seeing right here is totally customizable to your business. So whether you guys have different calculations or different items that you want to report on, we can set up different groupings and different calculations based on that. You can create multiple different P&Ls, again, maybe it's for an executive team, for one specific branch manager, you name it, we can set up multiple of those. If I drop down this project revenue grouping right here, you'll see that we can then see those different accounts associated with it. So we can see billed labor revenue, reimbursable consultant revenue. But we can also create, this is where we can see, right? We have our current, we have our previous, and then we can also set up a budget as well as a forecast and see it based on that one specific account. We, of course, can change whichever time period we're looking at, as we always pull in your historical data as well. A really nice thing that Phocas does, and Jason was sharing this too, is that really the secret sauce of Phocas is that we always bring in the transactional level data. So a lot of other BI tools, they tend to pull in some summarized information, but we've set up all of our queries so it always brings in that transactional level detail. So with that, if I wanted to, let's say, look at marketing, specifically travel for our current year, I could just right click, go to our profit, and click on profit and loss, transactions. Give it just a second. And now this is going to pull up all the individual transactions that group up to that specific marketing account here. And so we can see all the different transactions. We've also had customers who they want to compare last year's transactions to this year's, see why there's such a big variance between the two. And we can actually set that up within a dashboard, creating two different views for last year and this year, same account. You can kind of compare that. So it makes it really easy to build these accounts and drill down into that underlying data. All right, so just going a little bit further. So with this information, I'm just going to remove a couple of our different columns. So right now I've just brought the information down just to our current versus our budget. Now what we can also do here is, so let's say I want to break our P&L broken up by those different offices. I'm just going to grab this office drop down dimension here, pop it into this column grouping. And I'm just going to select on a few for easy viewing and click OK. And so what I've done is I've just made different groupings for each of these different offices. So we have our total for all of our these four. And then to the right, we can see it broken down by Portland, by New York, by Chicago, and by Toronto. Then if we wanted, we could easily throw this into a grid. We can throw it into, let's say, a bullet chart. And here we can just easily see in a graphical way our actuals compared to our budget in the gray in the background. And if I wanted to add it to a dashboard, I could add it, and then it would just add it to a dashboard such as this board pack, which we showed a little bit earlier. All right, I know we have about 10 minutes, so I'm just going to move forward just through our budget and forecasting pieces. Now, we have these two different tabs, so I'm just going to focus a couple minutes on these last two tabs here. So a lot of companies, we have the budget and forecast, right? Well, sorry, our budget. And that is, of course, where we want to be for our entire year. We'll set that up at the beginning of our financial year and say, you know, that's where I want to be over the next year. Whereas our forecast, that's saying, you know, where are we actually at as the year goes on? And I'll jump into that piece here in just a moment. Now, our budgeting tool, this is based off of the financial statements, which we set up in the previous screen. If I drop this down, we can then adjust some of these numbers. So if we have our project revenue, let's say Accuterra A&E, if I want to adjust this number, we can spread it. I can go proportionally by row and 10%. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking last year's actuals and I'm just applying, you know, I think we're going to do 10% more for that specific company for this next year, and then it'll spread it across those different months. We have some other cool features too, where we can add some different comparison rows. So maybe if, you know, maybe last year was COVID and it wasn't a good year to reference our, you know, for setting up our budget, I can pull in our previous historical data. Maybe I want to say actuals 2021, and I can add that. And that's just going to pull in all of our different, that's going to pull in our couple years ago data for us to then compare against. Within here too, we can also assign different items. So if you are a budget owner yourself and you're tired of just maybe sharing spreadsheets from team to team, you know, formulas can get broken. You don't know who edited what. We can also, what Phocas allows is that single source of budget truth. So we can actually assign out these different columns. Again, it'll be restricted to the individual. So I can actually assign these out to different branch managers to fill out. They can fill this out and then assign it back to you. We can add some different comments. We can see the cell history for who's been changing what. And so just allows us to avoid any confusion in how that number got there. All right, plenty I can show here. We can also add some different headcount drivers. We can add, we can actually have your project financial data drive these different revenue numbers. So there's a lot of different ways we can get in here. It's built for accountants, so accountants usually pick it up pretty quickly. Very last thing I'll show is our forecast here. We can see if I click in this column right here, this little flag icon that turns to our actual compared to our budget. If I click here, it's going to show our actual plus our forecast. And we can actually just kind of move this flag back and forth and just kind of shows us, where are we based on what we were forecasted to do. We have a lot of similar functionality of, adding some different spreads based on how we are doing. For instance, if I want to look at, let's take a look at Acutera Consulting, an example here somewhere. Maybe we are, so for direct labor for Toronto, let's say it looks like coming into April, we are currently about 1.45% over our original budget. What I can do here is click on the spread icon. I can click snap to budget. And now what that's going to do is it's going to marry the rest of our forecasts up to our original budget and then apply that. And so it's essentially going to say, we're going to need to pull back in these remaining periods 1.45% to match our original budget that we set up. All right, give us a few minutes to go over some questions. Sorry if that was a little quick. All right, back to you, Laura and team.
Actually, Aaron, there's a couple questions if you want to budget that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So one of the questions, are the budget and forecast numbers loaded to Vantagepoint and pulled from there?
Gotcha. Yep, great question. So this is the only time you'll actually put data directly into Phocas. All the analytics modules, that's pulled from Vantagepoint, but we'll actually set up your budget within Phocas. We will use the financials, your GL data, that will pull from Vantagepoint, but then actually adjusting those numbers will be done within Phocas. I hope that answers your question.
And then the other one is, can budgets and forecast accommodate 13 periods instead of 12 months?
Yep, absolutely. So we have a lot of flexibility depending, if you want to do it quarterly, we have a lot of customers who do like a 4-4-5 calendar, like we can absolutely accommodate 13 periods.
Perfect. So, Jason, I don't see more questions here. Jason, are you at a point where you could share your screen for a second? I'm just gonna
certainly.
share two items that I want to make clear. One of the things that some of you may have noticed is that these dashboards can be reflected within Vantagepoint, which makes it really nice. And all the functionality lives there. And you're able to click on the Phocas dashboard right there and work with it. As long as you're logged into Phocas, it works seamlessly here. So it allows people to stay there. It's when we want to analyze and go deeper into data that then we go out and we go to Phocas. So one of the other things that we have seen really helpful is in the labor database of Phocas. Something we get asked for a lot is, scroll all the way down. Bill status. Here's when we get asked, what has been written off. So if we click on written off as our focus, then we're able to go see which projects have hours and amounts written off. We can go see which project manager has been writing off a lot of time. And we can even see which company, if we're in a multi-company environment or office, you can choose from your levels of your org what's being written off. And again, you're able to choose from those measures to see, is it regular hours, overtime hours, totals? And so it lets you see those values as well. So the other one is on the planning dashboard. I know that Jason mentioned it briefly. One of the things we're looking at here is if you are consistent with your phases, such as construction documents, construction admin, if you always have it like number 06 or number 08, what you're able to do is say, okay, well, on construction documents, if I focus just on construction documents, then I'm able to see how many of those I have starting kicking off, because it's pulling the task or the phase start date from your plans. So you can see how many are kicking off every month going forward. It's a construction admin can be done the same way. So we have several options if you are consistent with your phases that you're able to, you know, perhaps you need to have people out in the field. You need to plan for equipment in the field. Like Laura was mentioning, this will let you see, hey, we're going to have, you know, only one of them in March of 24, but it also lets you say, well, wait a minute, why do we only have, you know, one at that point? We should have more. So it lets you get a different look into your data, very different perspective. So great job, guys. Anyone else have any questions to share this? We will return it back to you, Amy.
All right, great job, guys. This was very informative. Hopefully everyone got what they wanted out of today's presentation. As I said at the beginning of today's session was recorded, so be on the lookout probably tomorrow morning for a link to the recording, and please reach out to your account representative if you have any additional questions or you want to get pricing information or a one-on-one demo. I'm sure they would be happy to work with you. Thank you all to all of our panelists today, Aaron, Jason, Laura, and Melissa. Great job. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.